wake up to the same old fight, chasing shadows in the night. Promises made, but I let them fade. Caught in the cycle, I'm feeling betrayed. Round and round, I'm losing ground. Trying to break free, but I can't see. These negative patterns are haunting me. Nights turn to days, I'm losing my way. Thought I found peace, but it's led me astray. Chasing the high, but it only brings pain. The more I run, the less I gain.
Hey everybody, hey, and welcome to another session of Tarka Say It Again. And here we are today in the office with Miss Lyshelle Holland. And she's our guest today because we want to talk about the movie Straw. Now, I know you all have been seeing a lot of negative behind this movie, but at the same time, it's in its second week. The second week on Netflix, being number one. But there are a lot of negative talk out there. People feel that this is another one of Tyler Perry's struggle movies. And they are saying they will never watch his movie again because he keeps making movies about the struggle, about pain, about trauma, and making money off the Black woman. Now, I asked her here today because I wanted a different perspective. One, I'm a single mother. She isn't a mother. However, she has shared that she got something out of it. So we want to just do a little dissecting, talk about it, and I want you all to introspect and see what your thoughts are. Welcome again, ma'am.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and thanks for coming to speak on this topic. As we know, Straw being the name of this movie.
Correct.
Number one on Netflix for the second week in a row.
That's good.
But just wanting to get your POV on this, your perspective.
Well, what I took from it, every person can probably relate to it, whether you're a single mother, a single Black woman. Me, what I took from it was I struggle sometimes with wanting to do better, and you don't have that support. Like in the movie, she didn't have her family support. Right. I can relate to that. Some family members will help you, some family members won't. But she never gave up. She kept pressing and pressing, and every time she was getting ahead, it was always something that kept putting her back, her baby getting sick, the issue with the boss on the job, and just the child in school, her health care. I get all that. But in the end, she held it in. She did not express it. And I think when her child died, that's the straw that broke the camel's back.
Yes, we've heard that saying before.
Yes. So it did something to her mentally, from my perspective, to the point where she ignored that her child died. And she still thought that she was with her child, because at the end of the movie, it gave details of everything that had happened. And she just stayed in that state where her child was with her. And then at the end, like I say, she woke up to reality. And at that time, it was too late. And the issue with the cop, we see that every day. Some people still being traumatized from just ordinary traffic stop. So she was dealing with that, and then the fact that he told her next time he see her, he was going to find a legal way to kill her. Right. So that played on her mentally, to me. And when she saw him out there, that's what caused her to really
continue on what she was doing, because in the back of her mind,
he gonna kill me.
Right. And you said a whole lot, and I hope you remember your next thoughts, because I'm trying to remember mine as you're going through and giving us this account for this movie. So you talking about this cop in the back of your mind and how he's already said, I'm going to legally kill you. And so made me go back, because the last session or so, we talked about domestic violence.
Right.
and, you know, telling the women or men that they need to have a safety plan in place. And just thinking about all of the things that have ever been done to a person, whether it's rape, abuse, and the actual person that has inflicted those things on that person, I can see them in the back of their mind of why they didn't go forward or say anything, because this man or this woman said they gonna kill me.
Exactly.
This child thinking, I'm not gonna tell mommy because the man said I'll kill mommy, or the man said I'll hurt you some more. You get it? So, oh my gosh, like, okay, so that was one thing, me thinking, and like, again, that has nothing to do with a single mother. This is a traffic stop.
Right.
Man, woman, whatever the case is. Y'all, we unpacking this for you. That has nothing to do with a single mother. Black, white.
But that was her trigger point when he did that. When he ran her off that road and chased her and stopped her, got another cop to come to cover what he was legally trying to do to her, that triggered something in her mentally. Till she got scared when she saw him on TV, like I said. That made her keep those people hostages. She didn't mean to do it. She kept saying, I don't want to do this. I didn't mean to do this. Why are you doing this to me? It did something to her mentally. And when you at your last straw, you gonna do something that you gonna regret. And then, just like in the movie, Sherry Shepherd, she played her part. She didn't have to stay there and comfort her like she did. And that's exactly what she needed. She needed somebody that she can confide in, somebody that was going to be there. And when she asked her to take her baby, and she agreed, that was like a burden being lifted off for her. Because she knew at that time that she ain't going to jail. Who's going to be there to take care of my baby? That's all she was worried about. My baby, my baby, my baby. She gave her $40, 2 20s, and told her, make sure my baby eat. So on her mind, through all that, all she was worried about is taking care of her child.
And I think that's probably one of the things that made Sherry Shepherd connect, because she really seeing like, okay, this lady did not have ill intentions. This lady literally is concerned about her child being able to eat, so her child will no longer be bullied or talked about. Because they even had the teacher saying something negative about the child. You know, we know kids can be cruel. But when you have a teacher that's putting the child on the spot, calling out where they lack.
And that does something to a child. And then when the child come home and tell the mama. So that's more stuff she got to worry about. Protecting my baby from this teacher that's degrading her.
Protecting my child mental, her psyche, her emotions.
Exactly.
Yes.
So she got all that on her and she just broke.
Yes.
She broke.
There was also another thing that you mentioned about the mother. When the mother, on her mind, she felt she still had her child with her, even though her child had passed away. And I have heard stories of individuals that have lost a loved one, their mother. Even though they know that they've lost their mother, sometimes, depending on what it is, they'll pick up the phone to call their mother.
That's true.
So when we talk about what's conscious and what's subconscious, you know, your actions still allow you, like, let me call mama and tell her what happened. But then it clicks.
She ain't here no more.
Yeah. So that was another thing that you mentioned. That was something else I saw. Now, a question for you, because when we talk about it being dangerous, for a black woman. Now, already what we've said, we don't have to put color on it. You know, anybody can go through hard times. Black, white, whatever the case, and you can get to your breaking point. One thing that I noticed that they talked about, saying it was dangerous for black women.
When is it not dangerous for black women? My bad.
Clock it, as the young kids say. That's another topic. We're not dealing with that today. But nevertheless, and they talked about Tyler because he's continuing to talk about these triggers and these struggles and these traumas and the pain, that is basically on repeat, right?
I'm not going to lie. I'm a big fan of Tyler. Don't get me wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But what he's doing, in my opinion, is I don't think he's making a profit off of us. It's, like you say, it's not about race. It could be what that movie that he did, somebody else could have been experiencing and didn't know how to express themselves. Mm-hmm. So he's letting people know, you're not the only one that's going through this. And that's what I think his movies are based on. He's telling a story to help you cope with what you're going through.
Mm-hmm. I like that, because actually what you're saying, that's called cathartic, where there's an emotional relief. Exactly. You're letting the person know that they're not alone.
Exactly.
It's almost like validation as well. And I'm glad you pointed that out, because we know with this podcast in general, we try to not only give you the negative, but give you the positive. Addictive patterns, as I say, you can't get away from it. It's positive and negative. But going back to that, not only that, when we talk about, him making these movies to let people know that they're not alone.
Right.
Also, I feel when they say, okay, dangerous, I feel it depends on the person. And I say that because there's actual thing when we talk about research or statistics where the brain, it doesn't distinguish between what's on screen and what's in person. That's in the subconscious that they talk about.
Right.
However, it's almost like we can not talk about it because it's actually happening, if that makes sense.
Well, I'm going to throw you a monkey wrench.
Okay.
Whatever the subconscious mind thinks, sometimes the conscious mind thinks it is reality.
Okay. I got you.
That consciousness, it's hard for some people to distinguish reality from what's not, what is real. And I'm glad that they're bringing out a lot of stuff with mental health to help to distinguish your conscious from your conscious mind, because that movie right there, it can trigger some people, but it also can be there to heal you.
Yeah. So it takes us back to the person. It depends on the person.
Exactly.
I think upbringing plays a part as well. When we talk about being mentally strong or mentally weak. Right. So again, I feel it goes back to the person, because not only that, like you think about this, how you say, okay, it can trigger or re-trigger, right? If a person hasn't fully processed what is going on, all those negative things,
right?
If they haven't fully processed it, like giving you an example, and this is a topic that's worldwide.
Okay.
Just take an example, fatherhood. And men, y'all know I love y'all. We not pinpointing, but it happens more with the men and the children versus the women and the children. Right. Not saying that it's not women out there that neglecting their child and not doing their job, okay? But statistics, okay, you have men a lot of time neglecting their child, not playing their role as the father, okay?
Well, on that tip, you got to ask yourself, are they really neglecting the child, or is the mother in the way that's causing them to neglect the child?
Yeah. Listen, that's a whole topic, and we ain't even got to that. Listen, that's a whole nother.
Okay, then I'm gonna relate that. Part. Okay, with Straw with that movie, fatherhood. Let's say a man, he want to see his child, he's doing for his child, and the more he do, the lady's still taking the child from him. And he's at his breaking point. He wants to be in his child life, and the more he do, he's got a job, he got a sorry boss. He's dealing with family issues that is just enough for him to be at that breaking point. If the shoe was on the other foot, that movie would have turned out a whole different way. Because they wouldn't have waited to go in. They would have just went in. And that would have been a tragedy.
Yeah, somebody dead.
But because it was a woman,
they gave her more of a leeway.
Now,
more sympathetic to the situation.
And that's the problem with the fathers. They don't get any leeway. They don't get any sympathy. So, for men that want to be in their child's life, I'm for that.
Right. I agree. I totally agree. And I like how you correlated that with it. And I was going to also just add where the men, if they're not doing their job as the men, and say the woman is leaving the door open and allowing him to come and be that father, but the father is not taking advantage of that opportunity, right? So with that being said, what I see going on with the father as you have some men where they might have grew up where their father wasn't present for them, right? And so because of that feeling, they said when they became a father, they was not going to, they weren't going to pass that down to the next generation. They were going to be present in their child's life. But then another father that experienced the same thing, they took that experience and they used it as an excuse to why they're not. And we know sometimes you can only give what you've been given. But again, going back to the individual and what they choose to do mentally with their situations, with their traumas, with their pains. Are they going to rewrite the story or the script for the next generation, or are they going to inflict that story, those pains, those generations? You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that was my point of making when we talk about fatherhood in relation to
strong.
Yeah. And how it depends on the individual.
It does. Like I said before, had that been a man and he was at his breaking point, the straw that broke that camel's back, that would have been a whole different situation.
Yeah.
So men do have it harder than women. But if you don't have a support system, you ain't got nothing.
Right.
And you holding all that in. And I'm sorry, I know as the Black community, we always tell our young men, stop crying. Men don't cry. Don't show your feelings. That's the dumbest stuff I ever heard. That's why we have our men that do the things that they do. They're human just like a female. Let that man express himself. Let him be able to talk about what's going on in his life instead of holding it in. I tell my nephews all the time, you can come talk to me about anything. If you need a shoulder to cry on, cry. But that's one thing that I think as mothers, aunties, aunts, grandmas, stop telling them boys that, please. Because they're mental. They're mental. You're bothering their mental because they don't have an outlet for that.
But we do, as the adult, have to continue to shape and mold their mental and continue to pour into them and reaffirm them, help them build their confidence and their self-esteem. But if you're not talking to these babies and you're not correcting them and telling them what's right, what's not right, how are they going to know? You know?
Because that's what she said about her mother in the movie.
Yes. Yeah, that she wasn't there for her. And also you all, because she talked about support. In the movie, she didn't have what you consider that typical mother of being able to go and sit down and let your mother know what's wrong, what's bothering you, what's ailing you. Mom, I need your help on this. What you think about this? She didn't have that typical role model in her life. But when we talk about support, it could be the various, people that's put in your life, maybe professionally, whether it's a therapist or a life coach like myself, or a trusted adult, or a family member, your aunt, your granddad, your uncle, somebody that you trust and you feel is a positive role model that can assist you, don't add to the fire, but can assist you in those things so support can look different.
Right. Now, she did have some support, but the support that she needed, which was that family structured support, she didn't have it. She had it in a friend at the cashier. And then she grew with, she played that part so good, Tiana Taylor's part. And see, what she did was she related to what she was going through. And not too many people are going to tell you what they went through to try to ease you out of what you're going through. So both of them, they had a history of what they each went through growing up. But that's how she earned her trust for her to come out safely, and she was okay. Yeah, she had to do some time, but still, she was able to calm her down to get her to come out. And then with Sherry Shepherd, it took a lot because she could have just not even helped her, but that mother figure came in. She was her mother figure at the time that she needed it. And she made it comfortable for her to just let go. Because when she poured out and the girl snuck and recorded it, I mean, tears was coming out my eyes.
Yeah. But I feel like that was, when we talk about those elements of the plot, I feel like that was the highlight.
Yeah.
Just take that for example today. We already know that the news take things and change it and switch it around to make it fit, their motive.
Omit the truth.
Yes. So with her actually taking her phone and record, because I was mad at first, like, why is she doing that? But it wound up being positive, actually helping her out because
But it also made, when she poured out her heart, you seen the reaction of the landlord who put her stuff out in the rain. She regretted it. And then you saw how people just was like, yeah, that happened to me. Yeah, I'm going through this. But it that part right there was the most powerful part of the movie to me.
Yeah.
A hallelujah moment.
Hallelujah moment, a revelation revealed. And it tugged on your tear ducts.
Right.
You know what I mean? But just seeing that play out, people were able to be empathetic and get the truth behind what was going on in the bank. You know what I mean? And how she literally was not trying to do what she did. And like how you said with the landlord,
it allowed her to have I'm sorry moment, but not to the person that she need to say sorry to.
And not only that, it was it showed all of them how they contributed to this pivotal moment.
Right. It sure did.
Yes.
Because actually, to me, when she woke up and she walked out the door, I think that's when that started. Because she said, you have to 10:30 to bring me my money. If not, you and your baby stuff going to be on the side of the road. And I've been addicted. I know it's some other people. That's the most hurtful thing, to have your stuff on the side of the road where everybody can just come and take what was yours.
Yeah.
So she had that, and then the fact that her baby medicine.
Yes. Now that's when we talking about health, a life or death situation.
She could have waited.
Wow.
So now she regretted. The end part where the reality actually set in, she lost it. She really did.
What I can say, just in summation first, is there anything else that you would want to share out in reference to this? Because in just thinking about this, because there was so many lessons that played out or you could have gotten from this movie, not just making it a race thing.
Right.
Anybody could have gotten.
Well, if you look at the movie, when everybody was out there, it wasn't just black folks. It was Puerto Ricans. It was whites. It was everybody. Even men were out there.
Yeah, yeah.
They can relate to what she was going through. If you saw the barbershop scene, they was shaking their heads and they was like, man.
Mm-hmm.
So it affect when she genuinely poured out her heart, it changed the perspective of how you have to really think how you treat a person, because how you treat that person will react to how they respond to you too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I definitely appreciate you coming into the office today to give this review.
You're more than welcome.
Yes, and to speak on the last straw, that unfortunately played out in a negative light.
Mm-hmm.
However, we know just in general, when things happen, you should be taking something from it,
Exactly.
learning something from it. It's a lesson being given in whatever you go through today.
Mm-hmm.
And we are in tough times out here. But it's a matter of your attitude towards it, how you're going about it to fix it and not continue to throw fire, say gaslight, or add fuel to the fire.
Right.
How are you trying to get rid of the fire, or diffuse it? Yes. How are you trying to diffuse or fix the problem?
Mm-hmm. Well, in Jacksonville, I was a substitute teacher and I had 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
The 5th graders, Lord have mercy. But I love them dearly.
Mm-hmm.
There was a particular student, he had some issues, and I think watching that movie, I also thought about him, because it not just affect the adults, it affect the children as well. And he had some issues, and the kids always kept picking at him and saying stuff to him. And I set the class down because I give them life nuggets.
Mm-hmm.
And I told them, I say, y'all need to stop picking on this child because you don't know what his mental capacity is right now. And you can say something, it can set him off, and he'll kill everybody in his class.
Mm-hmm.
So be mindful of what you say to him. My grandma always said, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all.
We done heard that before. Yes, ma'am.
With that one, you have to use that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And passing these nuggets that you say down, these adages down to the next generation. Sometimes you could say something and a child be like, what's that, miss? Well, I ain't never heard that before. Like, what are we doing to rear our kids up?
Well, every school I went to from 3rd grade on up, I always gave a life nugget at the end of the class and told them, just what to expect, what to do. And my particular class that I had in Jacksonville, 5th grade, how these babies got my number.
Oh, goodness.
But the whole 5th grade, they FaceTimed me just to show me that they all was promoted to the 6th grade.
Wonderful.
And they thanked me. They was like, but you're not like any other sub. You treated us with kindness. We were able to talk to you, and the way that you taught us, we understood how to, do the work.
Hey, thank you very much again.
You're welcome.
And listen, thank you all for joining in. Hopefully you got something out of the lessons that were brought out from the movie Straw. Mm-hmm. And Tyler, you did an amazing job, contrary to those that say differently. But hey, numbers we know don't lie. It's telling a different story. Please give me a call, Tyler. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to YouTube and Spotify. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.